he's Australian.
Yes, he is Australian, and welcome to the TechRaptor podcast. Yeah, we've got someone drinking Foster's right here, right now, live
That's
on the
all
show.
they drink.
Yeah. No, we know Australians don't drink Foster's, right? Isn't that right?
So
Not
it's the
that I've
greatest
heard.
joke we ever played on the world is that we drink Foster. I've been to excellent pubs in the UK, and they have Foster's on tap, and I just laugh and order myself another cider.
Amazing. Hi, I'm Robert, your features editor at TechRaptor.
And Droughton, editor-in-chief.
Rutledge Doggett, site founder.
Andrew Stretch, Vault editor.
Vault editor. We have an interesting podcast for you today. We're going to talk about all the Bethesda games. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them. Like the ones you think of when you think of a Bethesda game, because
Specifically, we're going to be talking about Bethesda developed games, not just Bethesda published games.
Yeah, Bethesda Game Studios.
You know the good ones that they publish. We're going to talk about the bad ones that they make. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about Skyrim and all of its flavors. That's basically what we're talking about here. And I feel like I was chatting with everyone here about it before the pod. I feel like we're on a road trip right now, and I have two paths in front of me. One of them, it's like that meme with the two castles. One's like pretty and the other one's spooky. And like one of them is like Bethesda's good and the other one is Bethesda's bad. And I'm just going to let everyone here decide which way we're going. So you can find out by listening to this episode. And if you like what we do here, we would really appreciate if you hit subscribe, you hit the like button if you're on YouTube, leave us a review, whatever platform you're listening on, and then comment down below which Bethesda developed game is your favorite. And maybe we'll let you know throughout this show what we think of that game. So I think we can start. I want to start here. Stretch, how come you've only played like 70 minutes of Skyrim? Is that about right?
Yeah. So yeah, we talk about what podcast plans we're going to do, and the idea of Bethesda developed games came up, and I said, "Oh, that's a really cool idea. I look forward to that discussion." But I'm really not going to be able to contribute much because I've only really played Fallout 3, Fallout 4, and about 70 minutes of Skyrim. So I first played and only ever really played Skyrim on the 360 when it came out on that, or when I picked it up on that. Immediately, just the world didn't really grab me. I probably would have dropped the game in about 20 or 30 minutes, but I played long enough to get the dragon shouts because there was Connect functionality with Skyrim for the Xbox 360 that you could hold down a button and then say the dragon shout, and that was really fun. And then I just, I kind of looked around, had already spent an hour or two in there, and I didn't really understand anything that was happening. What was the point of where I was going? I've watched more speed run and mod related content of Skyrim, so I have a much better idea of what's going on. But I think that there's a tendency for a lot of games to front load you with so much info. And this was just one that everything got front loaded and my eyes kind of like glazed over. And I just never returned.
I kind of get that. I mean, everyone knows the infamous, the Ride to Helgen meme, right? Where it's like the screen fades out from black and it's like, oh, you're awake, right? But I think it kind of stuck because it is kind of it's fun once. But every time you do it again, if you don't have it modded, right, it's like, it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, go off.
I'm
just waiting for Otten at this point.
It's the same shit as Oblivion. Hey, I'm in a prison. Oh, hey, there's the king or whatever. Hey, it's Patrick Stewart. Oh, he's dead.
Oops.
It'll do that again.
Are there any? Normally, there's like one or two very large vocal cast member in a Bethesda developed game. They had Skyrim they had Oblivion with Patrick Stewart,
who was killed immediately.
Fallout 3 had Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Because he's your father in that. Were there any others that were just like inexplicably strange, like huge characters.
Wasn't Charles Martinet? He's in
He's
Skyrim.
Parthenox, however you say his fucking name. He's the main dragon guy.
It's kind of his breakout role, you know. That's what he's most known for.
Yeah, he plays a dragon in it.
I mean, beyond that, like, there's not that many. Like in Skyrim, there's not that many characters that have a ton of screen time either. It's pretty scattered across the different areas compared to Oblivion or some of the others.
Just the Stormcloak's leader guy.
Yeah. They do have the same about like 12 to 18 voice actors though for all 500 NPCs in Skyrim. Every blacksmith has the same voice, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's like Nurse Joy, that all of them are cousins and
they're all related.
Yeah. Okay. I think you're
So I didn't get into Skyrim at all, but Fallout 3 for the PC I have 100% completed. And Fallout 4 I got pretty far into as well. And then ironically, like we're not gonna talk about it because it's not a Bethesda published game, but like played a shit ton of Fallout 3, shit ton of Fallout 4. I didn't really get into New Vegas. Which I know is just like everything that I'm spouting is the incorrect opinion to have on Bethesda developed games.
How dare you?
I mean, yeah, New Vegas is probably the best non-Bethesda game.
Bethesda game.
Because like it definitely
had Matthew Perry in it.
Oh, did it? Oh yeah, he's fucking Benny, right? Or Bennett? Yeah. But no, it's probably one of the best ones. I mean, the bones of it still feel very Bethesda, like all the systems are the same, right? But
but then they have like, they make actual good games.
Yeah.
Over there at Obsidian.
With factions and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think you're the arguably the biggest Bethesda Game Studios fan.
No fucking surprise with Mr. Elix over there, but yeah.
I mean, I just have a specific type of game I like, and that's open world, kind of branching options on what you can do, a lot to explore, and Morrowind was my first Bethesda game on Xbox, because I was perusing Costco, as one will do from time to time, and came across it and ended up grabbing it that day. Just saw the cover with the weird little bug things. I was like, this looks neat. Picked it up, ended up putting, I don't even know how many hours in. And that was pre-achievements. So.
Wow. Nothing but pure will to get you through this one.
Yeah. And I can't remember what the number was, but like if you wanted to walk from one end of Morrowind to the other, first of all, you could. And second of all, it'd be like 20 hours of walking. I mean, that was, to me, that was the biggest game I'd played at that point in terms of scope. And it was well crafted. I really liked the RPG systems in that one. Probably out of all of them, just the way that it kind of functioned.
I 100% agree with you on Morrowind. Yeah. Morrowind is the peak.
Morrowind is fucking nails tough though. Yeah. Like brutally hard. You need to be safe scumming basically consistently throughout that. Otherwise you're just gonna get absolutely yeeted.
Yeah.
And I think that was the appeal for a lot of people too, was just kind of the difficulty as well as everything you could do in it.
Yeah, because I feel like that's usually the big pull for a lot of these Bethesda games. I mean, they're infamous, right? For it's like that mountain over there, you can climb it, right? Yeah. Not just 10 planets, but 1,000 planets, right? It's all about the scale that I feel like is what these games are really, really big into. Like even with Fallout 3, like the Capital Wasteland, if I remember right, they're really big about like the size of how big the world is, right? And I think that's one of the big draws when it comes to these kind of games. Whether that's good or bad, I think depends on your taste.
Well, I mean, what's interesting too is like Morrowind is the only one that did not have a fast travel system too, and it was
but you had ways to get around quickly.
You had ways to get around, but it just wasn't. It's not like, oh, I visited this before. I
didn't click on it
there. Yeah,
those were the days that was really a mechanic in anything that I could think of at that time. Morrowind's pretty old.
I mean, that was pretty
Yeah.
early stages open world games too.
Morrowind is by far their most interesting game. As the weirdest fucking mechanics going on. It has all kinds of crazy ass fucking spells that you can do. Weird, like so much stuff in that game.
Yeah.
That's just bonkers. They're like, you know what? All that fun stuff, we're not doing that again. We're stripping that all out. And it's like, oh, all right, I guess. Like,
so it's like World of
all
Warcraft.
the best stuff. Well, but yeah, Morrowind was. If you just go read about like, or even watch some gameplay, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this came out when? Because it was just a lot of crazy things you can get creative with the spells and how like modify. It was nuts. It's a pretty crazy game for the time period.
And then they threw it all away for Oblivion.
And then they made Oblivion one of the worst major AAA games I've ever played in my life.
Please, you've got to remember that they threw it away for IHRA Professional Drag Racing 2005 and IHRA Drag Racing Sportsman Edition in 2006.
Well, 2006 when Oblivion came out. Yeah. Oblivion is one of the most god-awful creations ever made when it comes to RPG games.
Stop, criminal scum.
That's about the only meme it's worth having out there.
Yeah.
The writing is bland. The combat, I'd rather shove a knife in my eye. It's terrible.
The one DLC was pretty decent where you went into
people always talk. I never played that, but they liked it. What was it? I
can't remember
the name of it.
I played it a couple of years ago.
People did like that a lot.
Because I 100%
Armor started then. It's just all downhill from Oblivion.
It's the Shivering Isles, right?
Yeah.
Shivering Isles. Yeah. That was pretty good. I liked that more so than the base game.
I remember they hype up these Oblivion gates, and you go in there like, oh, this just sucks. These blow.
Get through that as quickly as possible.
They're terrible. They're just boring. Like, let me go up this spiral. There might be some dude in there, and then you go out, and that's it. Nothing happens in there. It's like, oh, okay. I'm glad I went in there.
Cool. Got another Daedra heart.
Yeah. Woo. And that's just kind of the vibe of the game. I don't know. No.
Well, I think I only played like an hour of Oblivion. Like, I got out of the prison and I was like, I'm gonna leave this prison of a game as well, and I kind of stopped there.
Yeah.
But I played a lot of. I think I've probably clocked in over like 200 hours in Skyrim at this point, at least. A lot of it. I know. Like, my first playthrough of it was through PS3, and then you get all like the memory leak on the PS3 was super bad, and then you can't see through water anymore, which is great. So then I bought it on PC, and then mods, etc. If you've modded Skyrim once, you know the rest, right? Like, that's a whole fucking thing. You're gonna spend 300 hours modding it and then 1 hour playing it, right? But from my memory of vanilla Skyrim and kind of just the bones of all of these creation engine games is there's a lot of things where you feel like the game wants you to make an impact on the world. Like when you become the Archmage, right, in Skyrim, things like that, where it's like, this is important. You've done something that other NPCs should recognize, and it never really felt fulfilled. It felt like they recognize it in a way that it's like, they're running a check through their coding, and it's like, Archmage, true. Ergo, hello, Archmage. And that's it, like, it didn't quite feel as great as it could. Yeah. I know it's like hard to do in a game this big, right, where there's so many options to go with, but it is something that always stood out to me.
Yeah, I think the only like impactful decision you could make in Skyrim was the Stormcloaks or Imperials, and that would have an impact on what the cities looked like. That was it. I mean, everything else was kind of hit or miss for the most part. I do think that Skyrim, from a kind of branching perspective, was far better than Oblivion. Just in like being able to collect the Daedric weapons, and like stuff like that was more impactful, or gave you more interesting things to do, I guess. Like, the one Daedric weapon, you had to get somebody to follow you, and then you had to murder them on an altar. Like, that's pretty specific.
That's always been the way that Skyrim has been described to me, is that it is just so broad, but it is so shallow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that, like, yeah, there's a shit ton of stuff to do that you'll like start at step 1 and get to step 3. But if you're someone who's looking for like a start at 1, it branches at step 4, you've got some more branches at step 8, and then it finishes at, you know, step 12. That, like, that is the thing that I've heard will not come up as much in Skyrim. That, and something about every single cave you go into, you'll end up at some underground city. That's also something that I always hear.
Kinda.
Mostly.
Quite a few of them, yeah. I think it just feels so starkly contrasted with Baldur's Gate, which I think has just been on the minds of everyone recently because of, you know, it's just this big RPG where all of your choices really do feel like they matter, you know, and it like actually impacts your world both immediately and 80 hours later in Act 3. And then you look at Skyrim and it doesn't, I mean, yeah, I know it's a what, 12 years old now, right? So older tech and all. Yeah.
It's also different what people want out of it.
Yeah.
So my big problem with them is that, you know, you get these sandboxy games. That's really what Skyrim is. It's not necessarily, you can say RPG, sure, but it's more of a sandbox game to me. And that's what people get the enjoyment out of it. But my problem with that is that they don't give you that many tools to engage with the world, really. Like the fact that I can attack any NPC or whatever, okay, cool. But it still, like, it doesn't have an impact, or like doesn't really do anything in the end. A lot of times, just like, oh, that guy's just gone now, more or less. He's just not. You can't talk to him anymore. And so a lot of the fun people have is the unintentional stuff that goes in, like some kind of weird bug, or they figure some shit out that like obviously they wasn't designed to do. And that's my problem with their games. I think that's fine that people find those areas of fun, but it's like, well, obviously Bethesda didn't make that happen. You know what I mean? In a way, like just because their game is fucking jank, and they do allow a lot of freedom to like do whatever you want, more or less, even though it doesn't impact anything in the grand scheme. That's what creates those moments for people, not something that they allowed you to do. When you compare it to something like Tears of the Kingdom now, which is very big sandboxy, they give you a fucking ton of tools that they've obviously crafted very specifically, but allow an incredible amount of freedom and creativity as a player. Obviously it's kind of unfair to compare it to that, but like that's the difference of like it's intentional versus unintentional to me. And a lot of craft and character mechanics where, as Stretch was saying, it's very, very wide but very shallow of a game, and a lot of their games are that way. Because you extend it to the combat system, like Oblivion to Skyrim, combat didn't really change, and at all, more or less. It's basically the same thing. And it kind of blows. It sucks.
I think the main difference is the skill system between the two. Probably is that you know, you have the constellation upgrade or whatever that lets you kind of tweak, like, oh, I'm more axes than swords or whatever, and it kind of lets you cater your gameplay that way. For me, I think the reason why I like most of the games as much as I do is just the exploration, just wandering around doing whatever the fuck I want. Like, you know, I think the best example is probably Whiterun in Skyrim. There's that kid that's just a piece of shit, and sometimes you just gotta hit quick save, murder him a couple times, and then reload back, and everything's fine. You gotta
no, that's
healthy behavior.
Listen, you shit talk me enough times.
Oh, it's true.
There's got to be consequences.
We all are in trouble.
Oops, he's gonna quick save
in video games. Sorry, I guess I should clarify that one. Not going on like a murdering spree.
I mean, when I think of Fallout, I kind of feel, in a weird way, I kind of feel like Fallout's even more constricted to me than Skyrim in terms of that freedom and agency to like sandbox in the world. I don't know exactly. I think
3,
well, because I think part of it too is like Skyrim has the fantasy magic aspect to it, which it helps it feel a little bit more like possibilities are open. But with
It's not
Fallout,
just guns, basically.
yeah, and they have some interesting guns in there, but it's still,
Sure.
I guess I see it through the lens of like a shooter game instead of
Yeah,
Yeah.
a magic
Mhm.
game, you know?
that's fair.
I think that's one of the reasons why I do enjoy Fallout more than I enjoy Skyrim. Because I think even with Fallout 3's bad gun combat, it is better than any level of good first person melee combat. Because I find in first person melee combat in video games,
Yeah.
you just end up kind of like spinning in a circle, like mashing the attack button, and
there's-
just hoping for a hit. It doesn't ever feel like I've come away from this doing something good.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
that it's probably the stats more that saved me than any skill in my circle strafing and mashing the attack
Yeah.
key.
Or you
There's
spend
not
20
been-
hours leveling up blacksmithing. Done.
There's
WoW now?
first person melee combat has not really been done super well in anything yet. Like Chivalry and stuff like those kind of style games are probably the closest
Hmm.
to making
For
it
Honor?
interesting. Yeah, For Honor, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that's just a general problem with it.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a hard one to make interesting because literally all you're doing is hacking someone to death.
Mhm.
So like, how do you make that interesting at the end of the day? And I think that
Yeah.
is like, that is definitely probably. I mean, I'll agree with Stretch on that. I think the gun combat definitely creates variety, especially if you throw the VAT system in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Your aimbot.
Which is basically the same as Skyrim's like, hey, you shot at something, I'm now going to zoom in and watch the arrow fly.
Mhm.
Hey, cool, you were shooting at a dragon, I hit a bunny. That's probably my favorite Skyrim
It's kind of
clip.
I wonder whether a VAT system would make Skyrim feel better to me in the way that, like, you know, there was a certain level of strategy with VATs, and like, it almost turns a questionable shooting system into a interesting RPG system. That it's all like percentage based and like, okay, well, this shot's gonna be shit, so how about I move in closer, or I can even like jump up above them and then, you know, quick into VATs. In the same way that someone might reposition themselves or try to come at something more strategic in like an XCOM. I wonder if there was in Skyrim, like, I'd like to have a better chance at removing this person's leg with my sword.
Yeah, that could be pretty cool, I think. I mean, I think with VATS, it's just a holdover of Fallout originally being more of a strategy game, right? Than like a shooter.
That and like Fallout's gunplay is fairly inaccurate sometimes, and so that was the crutch for that system being annoying. I think in Skyrim though, specifically, it's so easy to get overpowered. Like if you max out blacksmithing and enchanting,
Yeah.
essentially that was my last playthrough of Skyrim. Was I maxed all of that, maxed every piece of equipment I could, and I was just one-shotting everything. So like you can min-max the hell out of it, and that's kind of probably why they didn't put it in there, because it was already pretty easy to just shit on everything.
Well, so I've got a question for everyone here. We have talked both good and bad about Skyrim, yet it is a game that has been re-released like at least 10 times, legitimately at least 10 times in the past 12 years on different platforms. It's on Alexa, it's on fridges, right? It's got a lot of cultural staying power, whether we want to or not. And
Mhm.
like we've kind of laid out here, it's not like Skyrim is the most unique game necessarily. Like, we've been saying it's kind of similar to Oblivion in a lot of ways. And like it has a lot of comparisons you can make to Fallout. Yet Skyrim kind of reigns supreme right now. It's like synonymous with the Bethesda brand at this point. I don't know. Is there
It's just
something to
timing.
you think so? It's time. It's the 11 11
Yeah.
11. It was the
It's
magical day.
fair.
I
It's just it came at the right time before open world games really got exhausting. And so a lot of people still look fondly on it. And because now it's like you throw a stone and you hit an open world game, right? For better or for worse. Some of them good, some of them bad. But it was kind of one of the, after Oblivion, kind of one of the ones that came at the perfect time during is towards the end of the life of the Xbox 360. So that console had already saturated the market. It was on PC. I think just from a timing and height of gaming perspective, it just came at the right time.
Yeah, I think another big part of it is it was the first. I mean, there were others. I mean, Bethesda themselves made big ones of big like fantasy open world RPG kind of games. Because at that point, all people had were your CRPGs and stuff, which are not bad. I mean, like Baldur's Gate 2 and all of them were already out, had been out for
Dragon
a while
Age, maybe?
at that point. Well, Dragon Age comes out after Oblivion. Before, let me see, I have that written down as an example.
I think it was like 08 or 09 for Origins, right?
Yeah, it comes out before Skyrim. But I think another thing that Skyrim had going for it is as opposed to something like Oblivion, which is pretty comparable in terms of it's this big open worldy fantasy thing, is that gaming was a lot bigger, and Steam in particular was a lot bigger. So 2006, Steam was nowhere near as popular or synonymous with gaming as it was in 2011. I don't know what the PC sales are versus the other stuff, but I imagine that helped with it, particularly because that's where the mods were living and stuff like that was Steam. I think that's a big part of it. And I think that when you can nail some simple design like the Dragonborn thing and having, you know, a Fuss Roda that you can throw everywhere with a song, like that marketing is killer kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I think that was a big part of it because everybody was talking, like the Dragon Shout was like all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
Before
and there were so many
out.
different ones too.
Yeah.
That you could do that were kind of fun. You know, if you're sneaking, you could throw your voice, like stuff like that you couldn't do.
Yeah. So that was all big stuff. But I do think that a big thing was the rise of stuff like Steam and getting bigger outside of the console market and just gaming in general getting way fucking more popular.
Yeah, I mean, to talk about to use Dragon Age Origins, you know, that was a first entity that this also, you know, it goes by Skyrim. We only ever really call it Skyrim, but you know, it also had all of the predecessors, the people who were so hyped for Morrowind that ended up getting into Oblivion, and now they're looking at Skyrim and seeing, holy shit, that looks great, because the game did look great.
Yeah, for that era.
Yeah. It was. That's a good point too. Yeah, it's the 5th game of a series. Had going for it.
Though I do wonder now today how many people who are Skyrim fans that have never touched any of the others, just because
probably a good amount.
Yeah, I feel like Skyrim just has that pull to it, that magnetism, you know, where it's like that's a lot of people's entry points.
Well, now I think it's kind of like a Mona Lisa thing now. It's famous for being famous.
Yeah.
Like it's like Skyrim is its Persona 3 kind of thing. Like there are a whole bunch of games before it, but like this is where people start nowadays. Bother going back to number 1.
I think you'll have a hard time getting today's gamers to go back to Morrowind. In terms
Morrowind is very weird.
That's why they modded it into Skyrim.
That's fair. That's fair.
Morrowind is a bizarre game.
Well, it's also less handholdy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's definitely.
I think that's the big differentiator.
You heard it here first. Rut thinks that modern gamers are babies that need their handheld.
Look at fucking Raid Finder and WoW. You
You
don't have to make friends to raid. I'm gonna be salty about that one for forever because that was what ruined WoW for me.
Now Morrowind came from a time, like where you get your point and clicks, where it's just, or like this text adventure where you just have to figure shit out, like type stuff, or those point and clicks where you just have here's your like 20 fucking actions, like figure it out, fucker, like kind of thing. It really was like there's no guidance of any kind, and they just gave you these fucking weird systems in Morrowind to do whatever with. That's why like speed runs with it are like minutes.
Oh,
Because
really?
you can basically like teleport yourself across the map, find the big bad, and fucking try to kill him and stuff like that, like immediately, because of the weird fucky way you can get with the systems. It's such a unique game. If people don't know much about it, and you're interested in like gaming history kind of stuff, like it stands out. It is a crazy unique game. It is like if you like Brett said, if you go try to play it now, it's fucking it'd be rough. You're gonna start. You're like, why is this rat fucking kicking my ass? Like,
dude,
you
I tried to
start
go
out
back like 6 months ago, and I was like, "Fuck me."
you start out
like,
the game and you're just getting fucking bodied by a rat. Like, what the fuck?
or like even like the little fucking crabs.
Yeah,
will fuck your shit up. Like,
yeah. I guess it's
the
just
mud
the weird,
crabs.
like how the stats are set. Like, it's a weird game though. It's too bad that they toned a lot of that weirdness down the more you get into their games.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
it
it doesn't
made it
sound like
more
Skyrim.
engaging too, because like you are invested in whatever build you're making. Whereas a lot of common games these days, it's like, oh, I'm a mage and I'm a fighter.
Yeah,
and
you have just a slight variation or a little flavor.
Yeah, like you had to decide at the start of Morrowind what your build was gonna be, and you had to fucking stick to it.
Yeah, Skyrim's totally not that, right? You could kind of do whatever. You can do a mid-career, swap to whatever you want to do.
Assassin warrior, baby. It's crouching through a full plate armor.
I wonder as well, because around that time, probably like the 2011, talking about like the weirdness of Morrowind and Oblivion and stuff, like, being a nerd, playing video games, knowing about Tolkien would be the things that you'd get like bullied about and stuff, or you'd be seen as an outcast in society kind of thing.
I don't know about that point. I mean, Lord of the Rings had come out not super long before that and was hugely popular.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
the movies.
I'm more meaning that whether Skyrim's popularity and its staying power is also in all the people who, when Oblivion came out, might have not even considered playing a video game because they weren't nerds, they weren't gamers.
Sure. Why
would they pick something up? And now it's like, oh, it's this big fantasy adventure. Lord of the Rings has just come out. That's cool. Maybe I'll try this out. And whether, that's a gateway drug.
I mean, that was also kind of the period when sentiment towards gaming was shifting as well.
Yeah.
Like, people were seeing the size and scope of the gaming industry and starting to think, oh, maybe this isn't for basement dwellers, right? I think that was when it really started to become more mainstream.
We got to give a lot of credit to the Wii on that front. With how
that's fair.
To be fair, I mean, that's
Wii
genuinely it got everybody, all grandparents, all parents had a Wii in their house. Like there was one, and it might if some of your grandparents probably still have it on the shelf next to the TV somewhere.
Yep.
It might even be plugged into the TV still.
They might be playing Wii Sports right now.
They could be.
Yeah.
They could be bowling at the moment.
Perfect game. Got to get that perfect game.
Exactly.
Wii bowling might be a perfect game.
It is.
All right. Let's throw all this Bethesda shit out there right now. Let's talk about Wii bowling.
Let's talk about Wii Sports.
Yeah.
One thing I noted when I was looking up stuff for this that I thought was interesting, I guess part of what I don't like, I've said what I don't like about these Bethesda games a lot is there's a lack of direction and a lack of intentionality to what they do a lot, which whatever. I want to engage with something that they've crafted, not like here's just a fucking thing, do whatever. A lot of times, and not, especially when they don't put a lot of thought. Well, they do put a lot of thought in the tools, but they don't give you a lot of stuff to creatively let you do shit with. Like using the dragon shot to blow someone off a fucking mountain is only funny so many times. It's funny though.
Think for yourself.
It's pretty funny.
I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But one thing I noticed when I was looking at when these came out, so 2011, everybody knows obviously Skyrim. And if we're thinking about other big open world stuff, for some reason Rockstar seems to fucking have their number. They're always out at the same time. 2010 was Red Dead Redemption, hugely influential and great open world game. In 2006 was Oblivion, but 2005 was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas came out the year before. Hugely influential open world game. Fallout 3 was 2008. You know what else came out in 2008?
GTA 4.
Grand Theft Auto 4.
Yeah.
2008. And it's like, boy, and then Dragon Age Origins comes out the year after that. I didn't look at Fallout 4. I don't what year that was
2013. Right?
2013?
So GTA 5. Yeah.
So
Or it might have been
Early
14.
teens.
So either way, it's right sandwiched between like GTA 5 and like Witcher 3. And
Yeah.
like all this other stuff that's just like, man, this seems so much fucking better is coming out at the same time. Maybe that's part of it too for me. I'm like, there's so much other shit that seems to be crafted in a way that at least I enjoy more. There's this design behind it where this is just like, we made a map and we put some people on it. There's Skyrim for you.
So what you're saying is that GTA 6 is going to come out within a year.
Elder Scrolls 6 will come out at the same time. Yeah.
Cool.
That's right.
So we've still got at least 7 years until it comes
Starfield's
out.
the anomaly. That's how we know this got the best chance of being good.
Is it the anomaly? This is the year that Tears of the Kingdom came out.
Well, yeah, but no Rockstar
This year's
things came out.
fucking stacked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost unfair.
Wait. Are we saying the best thing to happen to Bethesda Game Studios is GTA Online? Because now Rockstar's focusing on that and not really
that's
making.
They're
Guys, you're forgetting Red Dead 2 Online.
so is
Rockstar.
Rockstar. Yeah.
Well, walked into that one.
I have this line that I think I know what I meant by it that I wrote to myself as a note. It's so stupid. I said we laugh with other games, but we laugh at Bethesda games. I think I know what I mean when I wrote that.
I mean, kind of though.
You know what I mean? It goes with the intentional versus unintentional stuff. Where like when people, I remember seeing when Skyrim came out, it was popular to get the to use one of the like hill giant dudes or whatever to fucking hit something and launch something just fucking in the stratosphere. And again, like, is that something they intended? I'm sure not.
Probably
but
not.
It's funny. But we're laughing at the game that does it. And we're not the game's not coming along with the ride with us as we laugh. We're like, look at this fucking weird thing that it does.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's another thing I was thinking about with Bethesda. Like, you're laughing at them.
At the same time, in GTA 4, wasn't there that swing set car launch as well?
There was.
Oh, sure.
Fucking around with.
Yeah.
Anything that's got some sort of a physics engine at this point, like, you can do some crazy shit with it. Like, guaranteed.
I think the difference there is like that swing set thing. You have to be very intentional about looking for it. Like most of it, there's no like campaign mission that's like use the swing set to play on the swings, right? But with Skyrim, I bet there's a much higher percentage of people who've gotten fucking launched by a hill giant. Because you're just gonna run into them, and they're probably gonna fuck your shit up the first few times you're fighting.
Yeah, that's it. It was just a lot of like random weird shit happens to you.
Mm-hmm.
And those, and I mean, everybody knows about the creation engine, how fucking jank it is, and weird shit that it can allow. But
well, it does allow for a lot of mods too, and I think that's something I think we would be.
Bethesda doesn't give credit for, but yes. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, that's something we would be remiss, I think, in not talking, like having a moment to talk about in this pod, right? Because there's a lot of people who will say, "Well, Skyrim is bad, but Skyrim with mods, that's good."
Okay.
Which I think brings up an interesting philosophical question of whether does that mean Skyrim is or is not good? Because if it allows for mods, is that what's good? Or is it bad because it needs the mods to be good? You know what I mean?
I think it's good without the mods. I think the mods just enhance some of the problems or solve some of the problems more than anything.
Probably just think of it like a nice, a nice bowl of ice cream or something. And like ice cream is good. Ice cream can sometimes be a little bit plain or chocolatey or a bit nuts. But like, let's add some chocolate sauce to it.
Yeah.
Oh, let's, put a sour gummy worm on there or something. Like you can do stuff to
mod it.
Weird stuff with with the mods to enhance it. Like, it can be fine, but it can be great.
Just in toppings or mods.
Oh, ice cream
Yeah.
mods. Yeah.
I think Bethesda does deserve a lot of credit for allowing the level of freedom with the mods that they have and supporting them.
Console cheats too. Just having those in
Yeah,
there, period.
Yeah.
like that's definitely a bygone era. Like, there's a lot of people that play games now that are like, "What do you mean cheats?" It's like, yeah, remember that? You know, the thing you had to pay for? We could just do that before.
Game Shark, baby.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, the
like,
trade-off would be that you would have to go to a bookstore and get a sketchy-looking paperback book of
Yeah.
800 cheat codes across 30, 40 games.
Yes.
And you'd have to hope that one of the games that you had
Those were
were
great.
there.
Or you get a piece of paper and you write down the ones you want, and then you
Yeah.
fold that up and put it in the case of your game. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you were bringing up Rockstar games earlier. It's interesting how with Rockstar, like the old GTAs, they had cheat codes in them, but they were like they're pretty basic, right? Like money or like big head, like that kind of thing.
Or like,
exploding
I'm
cars.
gonna summon a fucking helicopter.
Yeah.
Spawn tank.
Yeah, but I feel like the way that codes worked in Skyrim and like Oblivion is it's like unlike anything else in a game, because you almost feel like you're coding the game, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
the console commands. Yeah.
yeah, right. It feels like you're actually like hacking into it almost. I mean, it's
I mean, you can set your level, like
yeah.
immediately give me level 100
Yeah.
at the start.
But you can even get granular and be like, I want to stay, you know, I'm going to be at level 1, but I just want like my unarmed punch to do 99 damage.
Yeah.
And you can do that. You know, you don't have to be level 50 for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that does feel really different. And I think it's fun playing around with, like, when you discover that that's a whole era of your Skyrim playthrough for a little while where you like get really into it, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like with mods, that's probably where Bethesda games shine the brightest to me. That's where, yeah, it's like it opens up this whole new field for you to explore, and it
on
can
that
be
on that
endless.
vein,
Yeah.
on that vein, the battle royale mode of Fallout 76 was better than the base game.
Yeah.
And it was just
Sure,
it was
yeah.
just slapped on. It was just slapped on top of Fallout 76. Way more fun. Dropping a nuke on the other people in the maps and just watching the kill feed. I don't think there's been another feeling that satisfying in gaming. Just knowing you nuked a bunch of dudes and they're all screaming.
In all of gaming.
Yes, that
That's
was
it.
hilarious.
It's nuking a whole bunch of people and then save scum murdering children.
and then Elex somewhere.
Elex is right around in there.
It's probably in the Elex is probably in the middle.
And then that whatever fucking bullshit game that he liked that came out that he's the only one that reviewed it well lately, Atlas Fallen or whatever it's called.
Atlas Fallen.
Yeah.
But modding, a fun part of modding as well, isn't just in the making stuff broken. It's that when you rip shit from other IP and put it into your game. Because I definitely know that my Fallout 3 playthrough ended with me in Mjolnir armor from Halo wielding the Buster Sword level of stupid. And then even we've just had Armored Core 6 released this week. And I have seen so many people on Twitter sharing color palettes and color patterns for the Evas, the Gundams. I saw a Power Rangers Megazord. It's just like people love seeing stuff that they love in a game that they are enjoying, and the freedom of the modding really lets you do that to a kind of ridiculous extent.
Right before we started recording, I saw a VTuber tweet that they changed like their whole setup to look like they were in a cockpit for while they were streaming Armored Core, and I was like, "That's pretty clever.
That's cool.
I like that.
I dig that." Yeah.
I saw the dude from GTA 3, CJ. Is that his name?
Yeah.
People have modded him into Armored Core 6.
Yeah, like he's like a it's like his arms look fucking cursed in it, but it's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But
leave it to the gaming community to always find some weird shit to change a game. It's great. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. In a way, these mods are kind of like Fortnite skins, but free, basically.
Yeah.
Is what we're getting at. Yeah.
Horse armor, but free.
Horse
Oh
armor.
my god. I hate the Fortnite skins but free. Like,
Well, you know what Fortnite is now, right?
I do, but it's so fucked
So
that
you got
that's
that
the,
reference.
that's the thing that it's being compared to. That like,
That's
you know,
what
the
it
reference
is.
point is, you know, Fortnite that invented skins, right? Yeah, that game. No other game had them before.
No.
That they're like those.
Yeah.
Yeah. But free. Back in our
They're
day,
free.
they're free.
That's right. I remember skinning my Steve on Minecraft.
I think
Back in my
mine still
day.
looks like Sora from Kingdom Hearts. Which is pretty predictable for me, but
That's true.
Back then, you had to like upload it to their website or something. It was weird
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
to have your skin on there.
Yeah. So with everything we've been talking about here, I know one of us probably cannot answer or speak to this, but we've been talking a lot about all these Bethesda games that have come out. And then there's of course the next big one coming out pretty soon here, Starfield.
I
Starfield?
cannot say anything.
When is that coming out?
I am playing Starfield. That's it.
That's
Yeah,
it.
he told me secretly that it sucks. So
Whoa.
No,
Just
we're
kidding,
not even
just
joking.
kidding.
We can't even
Yeah,
joke about
just
it.
kidding.
We can't even
Run has
joke
said-
about it.
No, Run has said nothing
Can't
to
even
no
make that
one.
joke. Everything Otten said, bullshit.
Yeah, but
just
we've
just
got
for like the last minute or like the last 50 minutes.
You guys can
how
talk
long is
about
the
it. I'm
bullshit?
not gonna say anything because I don't want to fuck up. So
fair. But with Starfield coming out soon, right? It's some people are calling it Skyrim in space. It's also like the game Todd Howard's been thinking of for like 20 years. It's famously the game where if they didn't get the Fallout IP, they probably would have made a space game instead of Fallout 3. And I couldn't even imagine a space game in 2008? Was that Fallout 3, right? Around then? Or
I mean, that's Mass Effect time, but yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
yeah, fair.
other than Phil Spencer talking about how much he plays Vampire Survivors with his wife, which wholesome as fuck. First of all, him, Pete Hines, and a couple others have been doing a ton of interviews lately, just talking about like what players are going to expect from Starfield, and that promise is impressive.
Yeah.
For them to like just be like, here's what you're gonna do, and throw out numbers in terms of 130 hours to complete just the base
Starfield.
thing, and then he's like, and then there's more. And I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah, he has no vested interest in making sure people buy the game.
Yes.
I mean,
he's
that's
just-
fair.
I won't trust him. It's not as though Xbox is counting on Starfield to be a super success.
I mean, it's gotta
all.
be for Xbox, right? They kind of need this.
Knowing
Yeah, they
Xbox's
need a
track
W.
record, I'm waiting for a day one update to like brick people's consoles. Like Xbox has such a history of getting to the finish line, tripping over, and impaling themselves.
Bring back the red ring, you say?
Oof.
Red Ring of Death returns.
Yeah. But I remember
Need the
when that
microwave.
what was it, the Summer Game Fest, where there was a 40-minute long presentation
Yes.
just about Starfield, right? I remember Otten, you and I were talking about it because we were reacting to it, right? And then we just chatted about it in LA. It was like surprisingly like very different from what we were expecting and what we've seen so far of Starfield. And to me, it was almost unrecognizable as a Bethesda game in a way. Kind of.
I don't know that it feels definitely like an evolution of Fallout more than anything else for them. Like I think about something like Outer Worlds, it felt like that but bigger. And Outer Worlds is basically a space Fallout game already, in a way.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing to me in that 40-minute thing was the change in the combat and the gunplay, which supposedly id came in and assisted them with. Because I remember when they first showed off Starfield, I was like, oh my god, this does not look good at all. This looks bad. Like they kept showing combat. I'm like, quick cutting to that because that's the worst
those
part.
initial.
so bad. And apparently id, who came in, id, who, they do all the Doom game stuff. They know how to make a shooty McShooty game.
Yeah.
And helped
They
them
only
make
made like the
better.
shooty McShooty game.
Yeah. They kind of know what they're doing in that department. And that stuff looked way better. Definitely way more interested. I will say that this is. I did not touch Fallout 4 because I knew I was going to like it. This is definitely made me more interested in a Bethesda game than ever before. I'm still very skeptical because Bethesda writing has never been the strongest. It's been pretty by the numbers. Even going back to Skyrim, it's like, oh, here's your generic fantasy world, but there's dragons everywhere. That's our hook. Okay. But the dragons kind of suck. And then the main bad dragon guy has like the lamest fucking story, and then it's over. And you're like, oh yeah. Kind of sucks. The main story blows in that game. I don't even so I'm a little precisely. It's so bad.
It's pretty forgettable.
Yeah. And so I'm hoping this has more to it. I really like the seems like it has cool lore and world building and that kind of stuff going on. But and I know it feels unfair. Like I think we mentioned it in one of the pods. It feels unfair, like coming off of playing so much Baldur's Gate 3. Like that's what's going to be in my mind now for character work and stuff like that. And like this is like one of the best in gaming ever. And now that's what it's going to be in my head when I play Starfield. Like this isn't Baldur's Gate at all. This is
what you got to do. Take a couple days off from Baldur's Gate. Play Immortals of Aveum, and then play Starfield.
No. That's
just
not
wait
fair.
until they've modded the Baldur's Gate characters into Starfield, and then just
I need Karlach in my party in Starfield. That's genius. She's with me always.
And I guess to be fair, it's not just Starfield where you'll be like, wait, this isn't Baldur's Gate 3. Right? Like every game until next year, you're gonna be like, hold on, this isn't Baldur's Gate 3.
No, but like if the only reason that I think this is a relatively fair comparison is AAA open world game where they said there's a bunch of characters. Like, didn't they say recently, like, oh, you'll have 20 characters or so that you could like have in your part, like essentially you can recruit with you or something like that. I think it's like 20 or something like that.
Yeah, in your ship.
And if like part of me is like, that's a lot, but it's like I almost wish it would have been like half that or maybe less than half that, and you really pumped up the story, like who those characters are. Because 20 feels like a lot. To where it's like, I mean, we might just get a more surface level stuff like, oh, we have variety, but once you learn their kind of like origin, you've learned them. That's him. I'm the cowboy guy, or I'm the whatever.
Space cowboy.
I mean? Yeah.
Otten just turned into a Rick and Morty caricature for 30 seconds. What was up with that? I'm cowboy with guns for legs. That's my name. That's what I do.
They didn't hire me to replace him.
Unfortunate.
Straight into high on life.
I interviewed too.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. I'm worried that even though Starfield looks very good, I think the whole, it's like we said earlier, the huge but shallow, right?
Yeah.
I'm worried of that kind of.
I mean, that was all our immediate reactions whenever he said that there's 1,000 planets. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
That one made me sleepy.
I hate that so much.
Yeah.
There was, I mean, I think that it was with Skyrim that, like, everyone was always comparing map sizes of games. It's like, oh, in GTA, it'll take you this many minutes to cross the map. In Skyrim, it'll be this many minutes, yada, yada. It's like, I don't care. I don't want a whole bunch of just dead space.
Meaningless.
Of quiet walking. And that's something that I really loved about Tears of the Kingdom, to bring that up again.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not the most massive map. It actually kind of feels small by the time you've, like, got a whole bunch of ways to get around quickly.
I disagree. That's fucking massive.
Sure, yeah, no.
But the fact that entire game was like, I'm just going to move from here to here, and I got sidetracked by 12 things along the way.
That is definitely that game, like
open world I want.
Yeah, what the fuck's that over there? I don't know. What was I doing before? Can't remember.
I mean, and then I think in the past 5 years or so, the rise of popularity of like the Like a Dragon games, right? Where those are open world, but those are so small, like in terms of
very
footprint.
dense. Yeah,
and like you're just so condensed, right? So I think there's a faction of people out there who are really into that kind of more like intentional, smaller but still open world,
Mhm.
right? And Starfield is the literal opposite of
Yeah.
that. Like,
But I mean, if we're coming off of, like we're saying, one of the big strengths of a Bethesda game is them letting you just do whatever you want, and they give you more places to do that. And then modding, we know, is going to be a thing where people can mod their own planets and whatever. I feel like that's what the really hardcore people that are into Bethesda games want out of it.
Just
Most
have
likely.
that freedom of choice.
Yeah, even if that freedom of choice doesn't feel as impactful as kind of like what we were saying. Like, I could go kill whoever named guy in Skyrim. Maybe other than fucking up a quest or two, like nobody's acknowledging that I just fucking domed that dude
yeah.
in the middle of the street, like, or whatever, like that kind of thing. So I don't know. It's definitely the most I've been intrigued by a Bethesda made thing.
Yeah, same. And I also think the Game Pass thing helps a lot with,
Sure.
getting a lot of people to try. I mean, I'm sure they don't like this is probably the one game Xbox doesn't need on Game Pass to move units. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Actually,
They could exclude it.
They've just the $1 for 15 days of Game Pass trial has just disappeared off the Xbox website in the past like 24 hours or so. And there's been like once or twice in the past where they've just like stopped offering it for a little bit. And I'm sure that this is just, they need to nail this. This needs to be something big. That
well,
may be
and they
part of the
stand to
trip and
make a
fall.
good chunk from. So we were talking about this pre-pod, but it's on Games Pass, but you don't get early access unless you upgrade.
Yeah.
So they still at least stand. I guarantee you, they're 50% of the
All that.
people
I mean,
that
and
are going to upgrade.
PS5 is still the biggest. It's a ton of consoles out there.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
Yeah, and
I wonder,
go
like,
for it.
this will be the first big Xbox launch where someone who might have a PS5 or has no console might be like, with my Samsung TV, I might play this.
Yeah.
And you gotta, they're thinking in so much 4D chess of like, where are you gonna play it? Where can't you play it?
On the PSP. Unless you buy it on your PS5.
Yeah.
PSP2. Finally, we've got it.
Yeah. God, how
Bro,
dumb
I
is that?
hope. Give me a beefy PSP that can play like.
Well, no, they just
PlayStation
announced the
games.
PSP2.
Yeah, the PSP just was announced.
Was it?
The thing with the
I don't
they
pay
just like
attention to anything Sony does.
they cut a DualSense in half and put a phone in
put a
between them and
tablet
just
between
kind of
it.
super glued it all together.
PlayStation Portal.
So just an Xbone, like or Backbone
Yeah.
with xCloud. Basically,
But not
Well,
xCloud.
but it only lets you locally stream from your PS5 to the device.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
will it be as shitty as the original, like PSTV link over Ethernet?
well, they have a new thing. I forgot what they called it. Something linked.
Some
Well,
proprietary something.
they've got an
Bullshit,
audio
Sony.
link thing that you
Oh,
can
that's
buy
right.
their $150 or $200 headphones, but then you need to get the adapter to use it with the device.
So they're doing game streaming the way that Nintendo does online gaming.
No, they're doing game streaming like the way that Nintendo did the Wii U.
Yeah, they're kind of pitching the Wii U tablet, and it's
Kinda.
It's a $200 Wii U tablet.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
God, yeah, that thing is so silly. I just had to bring it. I think it's so dumb.
It's fair. I saw that the other day and I was like, I'm gonna keep scrolling.
Yeah. But
I don't know. I've seen a bunch of people that plan on buying it still on Steam.
yeah,
Like, for as popular as
I'm
Game
gonna-
Pass is, there's a lot of people that don't use it, don't have it still.
yeah, and I'm also thinking if you're buying it on PC and you're like into modding, I don't know the
Steam would
intricacies.
be the one
Steam's
you'd
gonna
want to
be the
go to, I would
platform.
figure.
Same, because I think wherever Game Pass would install it, it might be weird. or
Although, I
different,
mean,
you
isn't
know?
a lot of it done through what's it, the Nexus or whatever the fuck?
Bethesda
Yeah,
Creation
Nexus
Club
mods.
or
And that,
whatever.
yeah, so
Steam just has the
Indeed.
workshop stuff that makes it a little easier to install
Yeah.
some of the more official mods.
If you install stuff to, there are certain games that where modding is important. There are certain games on the Xbox app on PC that when you install it, there's like another checkbox that you can click for like allow mods, and that will then give you access to that directory. But it's like you've got to acknowledge that like if the game starts fucking up, that you're the one that has given yourself access to this space, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's your fault if it doesn't run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder. I haven't installed Starfield yet, so I wonder if they have a similar thing on Game Pass. Like if you install it on PC, the mods thing.
I don't know. I probably am gonna start installing it after this.
Yeah, no, because you can preload it right now. If you're listening and you have Game Pass, you can preload it. I think on your Xbox or PC.
If you are purchasing the game physically, you can still preload it to your Xbox. So that means when the disc shows up day one, you just put it in and play, and your disc acts as a license.
Huh. I mean, that's what discs are nowadays, I guess, huh?
Neat.
Well, it happened like it's probably like
Just
2
a
years
physical
ago or
security
something,
key.
that Xbox started allowing this, that I can, any game I own or don't ever care to own, you can download it to your Xbox totally fine. It just won't run. And you know, it means for those people who purchase stuff physical that they don't have to do that whole like, oh, I'm gonna have to get it and then the servers are gonna be like trash for the update and this and that. You can preload a physical game and then you just wait for your disc to show up whenever your disc shows up.
That's actually kind of good. I mean, because then you look at the PS5 and it has to like install, and then it has like the copy step that always takes a really long time for some reason. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Yeah, but I think overall, those are our thoughts on Bethesda games. They're good and bad, depending who you ask.
So kind of like Final Fantasy 16.
I feel like Final Fantasy 16, the highs and lows are higher and lower.
Yeah, I agree. I was saying that, and our takeaway in that pod was, why are you so good yet so bad?
Yes. Bethesda, I feel like
we don't ever get to the so good part on Bethesda games.
Yeah, I mean, well, Bethesda, I feel like is middling, and then it has some really good parts, and then it's mostly middling.
Name the good parts of Skyrim.
Fusro
dying people off of mountains.
When you can hold down the button on your 360 controller and then say Fusro Da, and your character does it.
Yeah,
it's really a game changer.
Okay.
Modding, I think, is a high, like just in general. All modding is a high point. Discovering that.
It's just a great game to get high and explore.
We talked deeply into Skyrim, not as much Fallout 3. Some of those Fallout 3 DLCs were also incredible. The alien ship and the one where you go back in time, and you have like a very linear focused story of like, you know, a ye olde war. Those ones both fucking slapped.
Yeah.
I'll agree with.
Yeah, and 4, I think, had Far Harbor. I remember people like that DLC a bit.
And Nuka World.
Oh yeah, fucking Nuka World. Yeah, but I think this is a good place to wrap, because next week we're gonna have a whole Starfield discussion that Otten and I won't be here for, because we will be busy in Seattle at PAX. But we have Rut, who has been playing the game. That's as much as we can say, right? Mm-hmm. We're allowed to say that.
Have the game. That's
yes.
Yep.
And then Stretch, he plays everything on Game Pass anyway, so of course.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be getting it. I tried to get a copy from my man Tyrone, but he stopped responding to my email.
Oh my God. Well played.
Kidding, of course.
Well played.
Oh man.
Yeah, if you don't know, some dude streamed it. Streamed 40 minutes of it and then showed his face, and now he has been hit with what, felony?
Well,
because he was trying to sell copies.
Yeah, no, not trying. He had sold copies for 3 times their value, and now other idiots on Reddit are posting their photos of copies that they purchased from Tyrone, thanking him, and it's like, motherfucker, this is a criminal investigation. If you got the copy, shut up.
Yeah.
He got hit with like a felony for selling it, and then weed possession, and there was like one other charge that I don't remember what it was.
Theft, because it was found out that he had been stealing a whole bunch of other shit from his work and was just putting it all up on his public like sales page. It was wild.
Yeah.
Absolutely wild.
I mean, Starfield's probably one of the ones to do it with, though, right? Like, it's a huge demand for that game. So,
I don't know.
But is it? They're gonna find you.
Well, it's like we say at my work. It's we don't catch the smart ones. So,
fair, very fair.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But that's a wrap on this week's episode of the podcast. We hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please feel free to leave us a like, leave us a review, whatever platform you're listening on, and comments would always be helpful. Let us know what is your favorite Bethesda Game Studios game, or if you are excited for Starfield, let us know if you're going to be playing it on Game Pass or if you're buying it on Steam. I'm actually curious to know, or if you're on PS5 as well, right? No, it's not on PS5. Right?
No, yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Hold on.
It
My brain was just like
explicitly not on PS5.
It's super not. Yeah. So if you're on PS5, don't worry. You can enjoy Baldur's Gate 3.
That's true.
yes.
So you're fine.
I'd rather be playing Baldur's Gate 3 than Starfield next week.
Hey, same.
But you better play it because you're gonna need to talk about it. You can't just play 70 minutes.
Not scrappy.
Yeah. Well,
no, I'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll be busy with other things. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed. If you want more content from us, we always publish news, reviews, features, etc. TechRaptor.net. We will have a lot of Starfield coverage coming out in the next, when it comes out, you'll see it. It's on the site. It'll be great. But if you want more of this show, we will be back in your feed next Monday, and we will see you then.